let's go to Jude. Listen to what Jude says. Jude, in the first chapter, there's only one chapter in Jude, so verse 6 says, and the angels who did not stay within their own possession of authority, but left their proper dwelling, he has kept in eternal change under gloomy darkness until the judgment of the great day. So those angels, and that goes right along with 2 Peter, if you look at it, it's talking about it's a group of angels that did some kind of gross violation. And we believe, as we continue to read and see, where it alludes to the angels that saw the daughters of men, and they took them as wives, and they made it, and they brought forth Nephilim, giants, which were not to be. So this is pointing to the gross violation that was committed at that time. So, it's a very poignant thing. It seems to be very clear that these are linked together. And also, as I said, I put it up on the screen, how in Isaiah, these offsprings, when they die, they won't even be resurrected because they're not even considered human. Now, this is basically is talking about these two verses. It's talking about angels who sinned and were cast into a sort of gloomy dungeon awaiting judgment. That's what both of these verses are pretty much talking about. Now, in terms of who these angels are, there are different interpretations, but it seems to point to the same group involved in Genesis 6, who came down and had relations with human women, which led to the birth of the Nephilims. Like I'm saying, I just want to reemphasize it. So in other words, a lot of folks think that these angels mentioned in 2 Peter and in Jude are the same. They might not be the Nephilim themselves. In fact, they are not the Nephilim themselves, but more like the angelic beings who caused the whole situation in Genesis 6, which resulted in they end up being bound to the final judgment. Now, there's some other things that I want to bring out here too that's very significant, because some people in their study have a different argument. They said that it's Seth. These sons of God are representing sons of men, but it just doesn't jive because it doesn't go with it. Because you have sons of God and daughters of men. Why would it mix it up like that? Why would it have to say it like that if it was said sons of God and daughters of men, and that's verse 2 of Genesis 6. It just doesn't make sense there. So, but they're saying it's an ungodly line of Cain. That's what they believe. But there's a problem. There are a couple of problems, but I just mentioned one. And the other one is the phrase is never used for human male lineage in the Old Testament. It's just never there. It's not there. For humans, sons of God, you won't find it. And it doesn't explain the Nephilim. How did giants come? Because it said the Nephilim were on the earth. How did they get on the earth? You got to ask yourself that question. And then there's another theory is royal kingship view. The sons of God are ancient kings and ancient rulers. But again, there's no textual indication in Genesis 6 of this, and it does not explain why their union produced mighty men or Nephilims, which means giant. These are things that just don't add up. So if you're going to do a proper exegesis of the text, you got to let it come to you and let it flow. So I think we pretty much explained the sons of God and Nephilims and who the Nephilims are, where they came from. The next part of this study, I want us to shift over into the phrase, as the days of Noah, That's where it will be, as the days of Noah when the Son of Man come. So what was going on in Noah's time that makes it as the days of Noah? We're going to look at that in our next video. That is all.